What if the most impactful conservation effort of the 21st century isn't about protecting what's left, but resurrecting what's already gone? Imagine the skies darkening with the wings of passenger pigeons, forests echoing with the cry of the thylacine, or seabird colonies of grey auks once again shaping our coastlines. These are not creatures lost to the ice ages or natural selection, these are victims of us: hunting, deforestation, overfishing, and greed. And now, with the rise of powerful biotechnologies, humanity faces a startling choice. Should we undo our mistakes and bring them back, or are we about to open the door to consequences we can't fully predict? Hello and welcome to the Open Source ReThink. I'm your host, Thren, and today we'll be exploring the radical science of de-extinction. Not for those animals that were wiped out by nature like dinosaurs or the Ice Age mammoths, but the animals driven into oblivion by human actions. We'll look at the breakthroughs making resurrection possible, the promise of restoring lost ecosystems, and the ethical dilemmas of tampering with extinction itself. The question isn't just whether we can do this, but whether we should. The science of de-extinction rests on two remarkable breakthroughs: ancient DNA sequencing, which allows fragments of genetic code to be read from preserved specimens, and CRISPR gene editing, which can precisely insert those fragments into the genome of a living relative. But this isn't about creating perfect clones. Instead, researchers aim for proxy species, living animals engineered to carry key traits of the extinct. In other words, not a carbon copy, but an ecological replacement capable of filling the role their ancestors once held. Current projects focus on species wiped out directly by human activity. So let's look at the passenger pigeon for example. Once numbering in their billions, their flocks shaped North American forests by fertilizing soil and knocking back tree growth. Overhunting and habitat destruction drove them extinct by 1914. Their closest living relative, the band-tailed pigeon, could carry edited DNA to rebuild this lost ecological force. And then there's the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, a marsupial predator eradicated through government bounties in the 20th century. Its loss left Tasmania without a native apex predator, a gap that reshaped local ecosystems. DNA from museum specimens is being used to reintroduce thylacine traits into closely related species. Another is the great auk, a large flightless seabird once abundant in the North Atlantic, exterminated by hunters in the 1800s for meat, oil and feathers. Without them, many coastal ecosystems lost key nutrient cycles that their colonies provided. These are species that didn't vanish naturally, they were silenced by rifles, traps and markets. And now science is inching towards their return. But de-extinction isn't about museums or laboratories. The ultimate goal is to rewild ecosystems humanity has damaged by removing keystone species. Consider the passenger pigeon. Their enormous flocks once thinned out dense forests, allowing diverse undergrowth to flourish. Without them, some North American woodlands have grown unnaturally dense, reducing biodiversity. Reintroducing their ecological equivalent could help restore balance. Thylacine offers another striking example. Its disappearance left invasive species like foxes and feral cats to dominate Tasmania. A predator reintroduction could suppress these populations, giving native species a fighting chance. Even seabirds like the great auk played a crucial role. Their colonies deposited vast amounts of nutrients into coastal soil and waters, boosting productivity. Their return could help revive ecosystems under stress from overfishing and warming seas. We've already seen how powerful reintroduction can be. The return of wolves to Yellowstone reshaped entire landscapes by controlling deer populations. The spread of beavers in Europe has restored wetlands, filtering water and creating habitats. De-extinction could extend these lessons to species we thought were gone forever. But all of this leaves us with an eco-ethical tightrope to walk, and where science collides with philosophy. If we can bring back these species, should we? The first ethical dilemma is selection. Who decides which species deserve resurrection? Do we prioritize the iconic, the useful, or the ones we feel guilty about? What about those that once played destructive roles? Do we risk repeating history? And then there's the ecological unknown. Reintroducing even carefully designed proxy could cause unexpected disruption. Could, for instance, passenger pigeons overwhelm forests in ways that clash with modern landscapes? Could thylacines become invasive predators in ecosystems already altered by human settlement? Critics often frame this as playing God, but supporters flip that argument. If humanity caused these extinctions through hunting, industry and carelessness, do we not have a moral duty to restore them? De-extinction, then, is less about playing God and more about responsibility. And then comes the hard reality: cost. De-extinction is expensive. Sequencing, gene editing, breeding programs, long-term management all require vast sums. Some conservationists argue the billions spent here could save hundreds of living species teetering on the edge. But cost isn't just about money, it's time, land, and ongoing care. A resurrected species isn't finished once it's born. It needs habitat, protection, and integration into ecosystems already under strain. And then there's public acceptance. Imagine telling communities in Tasmania that the thylacine, an animal once hunted as a pest, is returning. Will people embrace it or resist? Will policymakers fund decades-long care programs or abandon projects once public fascination fades? De-extinction, if pursued with caution, could represent a new chapter in conservation. Instead of only preserving what remains, humanity could begin repairing what we destroyed. A way of saying extinction caused by us is not always permanent. But the bigger lesson is urgent. While resurrecting the lost may be possible, it's no substitute for saving the living. Every extinction prevented today saves us decades of genetic tinkering tomorrow. De-extinction is a second chance, but it should never be a replacement for protecting the species still struggling to survive today. So what do you think? Should humanity bring back species it erased? Rewriting nature in an act of responsibility? Or are we risking consequences too vast to control? I'm Thren, and this has been the Open Source ReThink. If you've enjoyed this little look into de-extinction, please hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think we have a responsibility to undo the damage we have done where the science allows, or does this action risk doing more harm than good? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.